Hello, friends, neighbors. Happy long weekend. Welcome down the nook. John, your whiskey neighbor here. Let's talk some Macallan. James, a wonderful friend, drops off whiskey now and again. Actually, a lot. James, you're amazing. And he dropped off this Macallan Classic Cut. And he said, you know, John, I got this for Macallan a reasonable price, 140 bucks Canadian, I believe. Now, it sits on the shelf closer to 200, so that's a really good sale. And you know, a Macallan, this is the 2022 edition, 52.5%. So a Macallan for 140 bucks at kind of a cask strength barrel proof type that's a pretty good price. Why? Because Macallan demands a high price. But is it any good? And does it demand $140? So I'm going to shoot this, and then when I think Macallan, I think sherry, even though the Classic Cut is really about ex-bourbon and sherry. I wanted to shoot it against Tamdhu right away. Why? Because I can get this for way less, and it is, for me, a wonderful full sherried barrel-proof product. But then I thought, well, this, like, you go to their website, this talks about, and you look and read the back of the box, ex-bourbon and ex-sherry. So I thought, well, let's shoot it against the incredibly affordable Tomatin Cask Strength. So it'll be a bit of a walkthrough. Hopefully it's fun. It'll be fun for me. Want you pour something? Come on back. Thanks for coming back and for dropping in. And as I said, I hope you're having a great long weekend. Macallan. You know, Macallan demands attention and asks for a very high price. And so when I look at this bottle, it's beautiful. I love the 52.5. I love that it says natural color. It's a nice looking presentation. It's a class act. But like on sale for $140, no age stamp. Like who knows? There's a mix, could be very old, very young, we don't know, but non-age stamp, which puts it honestly in the category of this very affordable Tomatin. 140 on sale, I've been able to get this for 65 bucks on sale. That's less. Anyways, but I appreciate that James like kind of threw down a challenge and said, is Macallan worth it, John? Talk about it, because a lot of us YouTubers talk about the Macallan tax. So let's get in. Let's just talk the Scotch. Let's put price aside for a moment and talk about this Classic Cut 2022 edition from Macallan. That's a good nose. It's sweet. It's rich sugars. It's nice light berries. And this time in, I'm really getting an interplay of a little bit of oak cask, a little bit of woods, and I'm getting some brown sugars. I don't remember getting that in the last time. I did have a sip of this, actually a couple of it in the last couple of weeks, James. Yep, I'm gonna have to say, some light caramels, toffees, nice sugars with some sherry backing, a little bit of berries, a little bit of sweeter, so I'm thinking more strawberry than raspberry, little bit of other red fruits, plum, that kind of stuff. Not a lot of leather on the nose. So that's a good nose. Solid nose, doesn't overwhelm me, isn't bitter, isn't tannic. Solid nose on this Classic Cut. Let's get into the palate. Hope you got something good in your glass. Sláinte. There's lots going on in that sip. An interplay of ginger and orange and light cinnamon, sweet caramel still there, a little vanilla toffee, and more sherry. Now there's less sherry on the palate than I expect when I read Macallan, because when I think Macallan, I do think sherry. And it took me a bit of honest reading because I haven't had a lot of Macallan to see, oh, they are deliberately putting this together to try to play around with American ex-bourbon oak and their classic sherry profile. And it's doing that. On the back end, there is a little bit of bitterness in the finish. That finish is a little sweet. It's a little tannic and a little, bitter coffee. But in this case, just on the edge of, Let's try another sip to see how this Classic Cut 22 does once you've really acclimatized your palate. Honestly, never judge a whiskey by the first sip. Cheers. That's a good whiskey. 52.5%, but drinks more like in that 48%. I mean, it's strong. Thankfully, we're well off the floor. This isn't a 40%er, but it drinks well. There I get a little more older red fruit, just a little bit more of that leather, a little bit more of that dried, prune, plum, not a lot. And that lends me to a little older cask, a little bit more wood tannins. I'm a bit surprised at how the early, longer finish is less fruity and an interplay of sugars and harder cask edge, almost like char cask edge. So, as I said quickly, I have had a few of these drams. James, you're such a kind person to share this with me because I tend not to buy Macallan because 140 on sale for a non-aged stamp is a lot for me to find. And so being able to sip this and chew on it, and I've had a few over the last few weeks, I think I understand this whiskey, and it's quite good. It's almost creamy. It coats well. I think it probably is chill filtered, but it sure doesn't have to be at 52. And they've done a nice balanced job of that sweet, light vanilla ex-bourbon and a little bit of that spicier orange, red fruit sherry that they're known for. Comes together well. I like this dram. It's quite good. In fact, it's very, very good. If I was putting price out of my mind, I really like it. Like, it's 4.25. I haven't done ratings with you guys in like many videos, but I'm saying this stands up as a solid dram. But would I buy it? Let's check out these guys. So every time I think Macallan, one of the first things I really do think of is Tamdhu. And why? Because Macallan often tells me, hey, let's think about sherry. And for me, that's Tamdhu. Their 15-year-old, I think, is phenomenal. This batch strength or barrel proof is often at a great price. All sherry, though. This is all sherry. I think first and second fill casks, natural color. Actually, I didn't check. I always think Tamdhu's a non-chill, but it doesn't say it on the bottle, so it could be in the same kind of thing. Hey, it's our natural color, which is nice. But is it non-chill? Someone drop that down below, or I'll put it in the comments because I'm sure I can find it. This, I should say that this is batch 6, so it's getting a bit old. There are newer batches than that. But in my market, like, this was on sale for 140 and I got this for 80. Now this sits around probably closer to 100, but this sits around closer to 200. So again, this is almost half the price. What's it like to sip a Tamdhu batch strength? Oh, I should say, what is the batch strength? 56.8. 56.8 batch strength here, so it's over the 52, but we're at least similar on the nose. And this is revealing it's sherry only. It is all the berry compote. I've got a bit of tang raspberry, got the sweeter strawberry, I've got a little bit of some red fruits, almost on that edge of wine. Yeah, and just a higher sweetness to it without those caramels and brown sugars that come up with the ex-bourbon here. On the palate, Tamdhu. This is just on that edge of a sherry bomb. It's all the sherry. It is dried fruits and even man, it's all the berries. Like I actually what I thought of right there, but it doesn't have the ice cream, was, sometimes I put like mixed field berries over ice cream, right? So there's a lot of like, is that blackberry? Is that raspberry? Blueberry, which obviously it isn't, but like that whole concept of different fruits, but in that palate, comes up right away. I don't have the bitterness on the back end, but I do have more youthfulness. They're both non-aged stamps, but if I was betting, I would say I think they've put some older liquid in here. It's just a little sweeter from distillate, a little more rounded out. This one is a little more aggressive. Now it is more aggressive, 56%. Second sip, that is what I'm looking for in a batch strength, barrel proof, all sherry dram. It's got leathers, it's got tobaccos, it's got some of the same ginger here A little bit of that same orange you can get here, but more into those fruits, more into those obviously sherries. The casking is good. Like, I know I've heard some people say there's too much wood in here. I like the oak in here. It definitely says hello. There's some tannins. It is barkier down here. It hugs more down here. It's aggressive more down here. So this is more refined. Absolutely. That comes back to, like, for me, this is easily a 4 1/4 as well. 4 to 4 1/4 kind of thing. I love Tamdhu. I really, really enjoy it and hope you've tried it. These are different animals. They really are. They're lovely. And I have to give the nod to a little bit more refinement, a little more balance, a little more put together to the Macallan. Boy, I love my Tamdhu though. 3-bottle comparison is actually pretty tough on the palate. There's going to be a lot of residuals that water's just not going to clear out. But I thought, you know what? Here's a Tomatin. I can get this in my market for 60 bucks Canadian. I think it sits on the shelf more around 80, but like this is so much less impactful on the pocketbook than a Macallan. And the reason why I put it here, because I don't normally think of Tomatin and Macallan the same thing, but this classic cut is all about that balance of bourbon and sherry. And this is bourbon and sherry. And it's a 57.5. And I like this one. And I thought, let's see if I get echoes of what they're trying to do in this Macallan all the way over here in this wildly more affordable Tomatin. On the nose. Yeah, and this walkthrough has been very good for me, and I hope you can do something similar. Because actually I do get sweetness and roundness and cherries, but I can get actually echoes of this kind of vanilla that they're going for in this. And here, it's almost like I added back the ice cream, right? That vanilla ice cream. Yeah. Got a bit of cocoa in here, a bit of chocolate, a bit that I'm not really getting in the other two. I will say, these two actually have similar noses. Let's try on the palate. Sancha. I love doing these live with you guys because I don't know what's going to happen. Right up front in the palate, I immediately got echoes of this. But absolutely, as I carried it in the palate, swallowed after, it's got to be either far more youthful, 57 versus 52, far stronger. When I talk about the Tamdhu being huggy, this also is pretty strong. It immediately went hello in a way that this Macallan just didn't. But I've got caramels and sugars. I've got fruits. Less sherry than this one. Try it again, Sancha. Up here today, I probably prefer the Macallan. It is a better balance, does absolutely bring in sherry and ex-bourbon into the conversation, and it does it well, and it does it strong enough. All of these need a bit of water to dial it into where you want and get a little different notes and oaks coming out. This is probably the winner up here. It is for me today. This last one is the strongest, most bruising, and leans most into ex-bourbon. Not surprisingly, the Tamdhu is all ex-sherry. Why? Because it's all ex-sherry. So it is a very interesting walkthrough. I'll look for it on sale. If it's gone up in price, that's a problem. Another Tamdhu before I buy either of these. I really enjoy this Tamdhu. If this was 80 bucks like this, I'd absolutely buy it. I'd stock it. This is really good. If it's at 100 bucks, I'd absolutely buy it. This is really good. This is a great scotch. So, when people really talk about Macallan not being that great, I think that part of it is because you pay so much. And so expectations just have to be higher. This is a non-age stamp whiskey, 52%, and they're asking in Canadian dollars 140 on sale, usually 200 or more. And I will never buy that bottle at 200 or more, not once. These are both good. They're very different. You want a little more ex-bourbon? Do the Tomatin. You want all the ex-sherry? Do the Tamdhu, and they're both more affordable. What are your thoughts through this walkthrough? Was that any fun? Hope it was for you. Sure was for me. Have a great long weekend.